With that, we're getting straight into it. Taking a look at the Bitcoin price chart. The current time it's recording, Bitcoin's coming in at 62,336. And right now, what do we see? What do we anticipate? We see that the RSI is in overbought territory. And right now, we put in a high and a higher high. And right now, Bitcoin is in a very, very important place right now, because the next week or two is going to dictate price movement of Bitcoin. We're either going to get very parabolic or we're going to get a pullback. And that pullback doesn't mean that it's bad, but just resetting things because they got overheated too quickly. Now, if we do get that pullback, we've told you about this inverse head and shoulders pattern that could be playing out. And we'll talk about that a little bit later in this video. But if we don't, the technical targets we've also showed you as well. That's what this red box is. Somewhere in this range, all the fib extensions correspond with this range as well. It's just how fast do we get there. This is Bitcoin on the monthly. We just had the biggest green candle that we've seen year to date in Bitcoin's history. 43% to the upside last month was the biggest green candle. This is a bullish engulfing candle. This is something that's good for the Bitcoin ecosystem, and it is pointing to the upside. So we could get very bullish. Let's see what this next week does. Open up markets on Monday. If the ETFs keep getting bought up at the same aggressive pace they have been, then we're probably going to see some more upside over the next few weeks. Taking a look at the LMACD. We've showed you this before, and once this blue line hits its head once, corresponds with a top. Once it hits its head twice, corresponds with a top. We're not quite there yet, but taking some measured moves. As you see, we are roughly around 100% from the hitting our head. If we look at back here, and we've got to get 100% to the upside, you're looking at October of 20, and we hit our head in March of 20 to April of 20, sorry. And so that's looking at 6 months later, hit our head. So that's the first peak. That's the last cycle peak. Let's take a measure move from here to here. That's about the same level where we were at. This was March of 17, and then the peak was December of 17. So you're looking 9 months later, 6 months later. Over the next 6 months, are we going to hit our head? If history's any indication, this could be what's coming over the next 6 months. An extremely parabolic run to the upside. Coins Kid is looking at the market symmetry and the channel that Bitcoin seems to keep respecting, puts the top in late July, early August this year. This corresponds with what we just showed you with the LMACD. Before we continue, go ahead and check the Bitcoin Bros out on Linktree. The link is in the comments below. Check out our Patreon. We have only a few seats left until this $5 a month goes up. We're putting exclusive content. You can reach out to the Bitcoin Bros directly and ask us specifics about your portfolio, what's going on with specific altcoins, and whatever questions you have, you can shoot them our way. We appreciate your support. And then an update from Tika Tiwari. Check out this clip right here.
On September 12th, Jamie Dimon says Bitcoin is a fraud. He says he'll fire any one of his traders buying Bitcoin. Bitcoin drops 24%. When Jamie Dimon speaks, people listen. So that weekend, we found out that the largest buyer of a Bitcoin fund that's in Europe that buys physical Bitcoin, right? The largest buyer was Morgan Stanley and JP Morgan. And that's not illegal.
He says it's a fraud.
It says he'll fire anyone that buys it. Yes.
And at the same time, his company is buying it.
His company is buying it.
It's just, I mean, so unethical.
So there you have it from Tika Tiwari, and what he's talking about is Mr. Jamie Dimon. And Jamie Dimon has had a history of basically flooding the markets and secretly accumulating. Even to this day, he's calling Bitcoin a pet rock and saying that it has no intrinsic value. Be careful who you're listening to, because Bitcoin is a direct competition to the banks. The banks are going to have to integrate with the Bitcoin ecosystem or get ran over because they can't stop Bitcoin. Jamie Dimon knows this. The elites know this. Be careful who you listen to. Once again, update from Fred Krueger. What he's looking at in this chart is it has to do with how we're getting to Hal Finney's target of $10 million per Bitcoin, which is roughly hyper Bitcoinization. This is at the level at which Bitcoin is 10 times the market cap of gold, 3 times the total of the S&P 500. At roughly that point, we are in a hyper Bitcoinization world. So basically he has a chart of Bitcoin up to present day, and the timeline is 15 years in. And what he's using is the power laws. Every year he's detailing out what has happened and when Bitcoin should pass gold and Bitcoin should pass hyper Bitcoinization. So looking here, you'll see 2025, 2026. The power laws looks like every year Bitcoin just consistently goes to the upside. Right here, 2033 is when you hit that $1 million threshold, and then 2045, based on the power laws, looks like when you're going to hit over $10 million per Bitcoin. So that's roughly 21 years from now. Now, even though Bitcoin's expensive right now, there's a lot of dollar cost averaging that can happen from here to here. Will you be able to accumulate 1 Bitcoin? Depends on how aggressively you're going. You know, eventually 0.1 will be the target that everybody's trying to get, so keep that in mind. And then another update from Max Because BTC, he's looking at Solana versus Ethereum. Here's the chart from Ethereum from 2020, and what he's looking at is the same patterns that are playing out. And it looks like Ethereum, you know, went up 517% to the fib extension of 3.618, up to that almost $5,000 target. Well, if you look at what Solana's doing from the accumulation to the previous run up, from the fib extensions, the deviation when the floors were set, first run up while Bitcoin went up to its previous all-time high, same thing, rinse, repeat. If Solana does the same thing 2024, 25, you're looking at a $900 Solana. Right now, 130 bucks. That seems to be a very, very fair play. Is Solana going to be the Ethereum of last cycle? You be the judge. Another update from Tech Dev, the liquidity cycle, which has aligned with every Bitcoin top and takeoff point. So the takeoff points are detailed out in these light blue dots below. And this is when the blue line crosses the red line every single time. That's the takeoff point every single time. So looking here to here, the previous takeoff points, how much time was in between each one of these? This is roughly a year. Takeoff point, this is before 17, so it's probably a year and a half. Right here, it looks like September of 2020. That was about 6 months. So there's no guarantee to know if this is going to be a year and a half, a year, 6 months. But the aggressive buying from the ETFs could get us that left translated cycle that we've talked about in previous videos. So make sure you're prepared either way, whether it's 6 months, 12 months. Hope you're ready. And we'll leave you with this. Crypto Caesar is basically telling you the same thing that we've showed you in multiple videos. He's saying that we could be in some type of measured cup and handle form or complex head and shoulders pattern. And the strict measurement comes out at roughly almost 300K, 267 to be exact. And we've pulled these down for you. We've showed you this, and this could be the technical target. Could 250,000 plus be in the cards for Bitcoin? Are you ready? Have you packed your bags before Bitcoin really takes off and pulls the market up with us? And with that, that's all I have for you today. I'm Sean with the Bitcoin Bros. Once again, check us out on our link tree, and don't forget to check us out on Patreon. If you like this content, make sure you smash that like button. It really helps with the algorithm. We appreciate all your support. And with that, we'll see you next time.